Thank you all. At this time, the chair calls Mayor Betsy Price, Councilwoman Troxclair, and Councilwoman Kitchen. And I know that there are testimonies going on in State Affairs as well. I mean, in Senate Finance as well. So.
Mayor Price will be back here in a few minutes.
Right, we're going to keep moving on those. Then let's go ahead and bring. Is that all that was in the room of that grouping? How about Debbie Weir and Gary Stone? Go ahead. We'll start here.
Hello, thank you for having me today. My name's Ann Kitchen, and I'm on the City of Austin City Council. So I'll try to be brief. I'm not sure how much time I have, but I'll try to be brief.
Yeah.
So first off, I would just say that as the bills stand, I'm sorry, did I miss something?
No, you're good.
Okay.
The lights will tell you.
Okay.
So you have 3 minutes.
As I stand now, the bills about TNCs, from our perspective, we think they'll undermine the safety of residents by stripping away best practice public safety measures, and in doing so will also undermine the will of local voters in Austin. In May of 2016, Austin voters decidedly rejected similar legislation that lacked adequate safety provisions. The City of Austin stands by the democratic process and the voter's choice. Voters being able to make their own decisions is the bedrock of liberty. Austin voters chose a system which fostered ride-hailing competition and innovation, and which delivered the safety choices they wanted. It's working well, and the people's will should be respected. You know, city and state legislators do have a responsibility to protect the public. With ground transportation and all kinds of ground transportation, that's TNCs, taxis, limos, and other rides for hire, that means ensuring public safety by ensuring that the vehicle is safe, the driver is safe, the consumer is safe, and the traffic rules are followed. Public safety experts in the FBI and the Texas Department of Public Safety have identified fingerprinting as the most effective means of protecting the public. And the Texas legislature has agreed for many other professions, ranging from realtors to teachers to healthcare workers. Our top concern is public safety. TNC drivers have a position of trust, and they often drive people at night, sometimes in vulnerable circumstances. The City of Austin struck the right balance between keeping riders safe and allowing the industry to operate, because riders are safer and the industry is still very robust. We understand the need for state-level registration. In fact, we adopted the insurance requirements that the state adopted last year. But in doing so, if we're going to have statewide legislation, we must also regulate responsibly to protect the public and put in place adequate safety measures, such as best practice fingerprinting. Arguing that public safety measures like fingerprinting are prohibitive to free enterprise is contrary to the experience in Austin, where more TNCs are successfully operating now than ever before. Public safety and the success of TNCs are not mutually exclusive. Austin has demonstrated how citizens can exercise their rights to choose public safety, and that the market will meet the challenge and provide the services. Responsible regulations must address the risk posed to consumers. That means not only protecting riders from dangerous individuals, but also protecting access to services.
Thank you, Ms. Kitchen.
If I could say one more thing.
Your
10
time
seconds.
is really up. You've got about
2 seconds. Okay, 2 seconds.
Go quickly, because we have a lot of people testifying behind you, and we need to respect their time.
Okay, well then I will provide you information about data sharing. I think that's really important, and I know that the authors of the bill would be interested in that.
Thank you very much. And I can't remember, your chief testified before they were kicked out of the city. What % reduction in DUIs?
I will have to ask our staff for that, and by the way, they were not kicked out of our city.
Well, I mean, not before they were reduced.
Before they decided to
Before
leave.
they were regulated.
Before they decided to leave.
Oh.
And we
You
were...
know the number I'm looking for, but
I do.
Maybe it'll come up later.
We can get that for you. I don't have the number off the top of my head.
Seems like it was significant reduction in DUIs.
Well, no, that's really not what the regulations showed us. The data shows us...
We'll get the number when somebody will have it.
The data shows us that there's actually been no difference in DUIs between the TNCs that we have now and the TNCs we have.
I just thought I remember your chief testifying on something, but we'll get that information.
We'll provide it to you.
Senator Campbell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Kitchens, you'd mentioned, why not respect what the public voted on, but there was an outcry, at least to my office, after the vote that the ballot language was verbose and confusing. Can you address that? Well,
the best thing that I can think of to address that is that we respect that, the voting process is something that we respect as a democracy. I mean, that's really the bottom line on liberty.
Let me then, I can appreciate that, but when there is an outcry, at least to my office, that it's confusing, that seems more
Confusing.
flanked in a deceit, if you will, deceptive, because of the way you can make the ballot language sound. So I don't know that there's a response if you can't just answer the question as to why was it so long and confusing, and why was there such an outcry regarding the ballot language that people thought it was deceitful?
Well, all I can say is that was not our experience as a council. We chose language that was straightforward and explained the differences in the bill, and that language outlined what the differences were in the two bills, the bills that were before them on the ballot and the bill that we had passed. I'll be happy to go over that with you and show that to you.
That's fine. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Kitchens. Go ahead, Mr. Stone.
Thank you, ma'am. My name is Gary Stone. I'm here to represent myself today. I was approached by TNC to conduct a review of their background process and found it to be safe and reliable and a complete background investigation. My prior life, I was spent 30 years serving the state of Texas in the capacity as the Assistant Chief for Criminal Law Enforcement for the Department of Public Safety. And in that capacity, I was responsible for background investigations, criminal investigations for the state. After reviewing the TNC's background investigative process, I found it to be a strong baseline, and I'm available as a resource to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Stone. Go ahead.
Chairman Hancock and members of the committee, I'm Debbie Ware, and I'm Chief Executive Officer for Mothers Against Drunk Driving. Our national headquarters are based in Irving, Texas. The mission of Mothers Against Drunk Driving, MAD, is to end drunk driving, help fight drug driving, support the victims of these violent crimes, and prevent underage drinking. It is this mission that brings me here today in support of SB 361 and SB 176, both of which create a statewide ride-sharing framework in Texas that would allow these companies to expand across the state so that every Texan has the opportunity to take a safe ride home when they need one. MAD has had great success since our founding in 1980 in reducing the number of drunk driving fatalities. Unfortunately, we still have a long way to go. In our country today, nearly 300,000 people drive drunk every single day. While the best way to stop drunk driving is to couple strong drunk driving laws with strong DUI enforcement and educating the public on the consequences of breaking these laws, it is also imperative that for those to have access to a safe ride home when they should go out and consume alcohol beverages. My 22-year-old son is currently a senior at Texas State University, which makes me acutely aware that drunk driving is a choice that endangers him all the time. Not because I fear he may get behind the wheel after socializing, but because I fear that others might come crashing into our lives. I've seen parents faced with unthinkable tragedy after suffering the loss of a child as a result of drunk driving year after year after year. And it has to stop. We have got to get to zero deaths, zero injuries due to the 100% preventable choice and crime of drunk driving. That is why MAD supports legislation like SB 361 and SB 176, so that more Texans have options, so that we can all be safe and that none of our children or families are endangered.
Thank you. Troxclair.
Hi, I'm Ellen Troxclair. I'm on the Austin City Council. I'm here representing myself and my constituents, but sadly not the official position of the city. Texas I'm here in support of SB 113, SB 176, and SB 361. Texas is a beacon for the free market economy, but it has become less desirable for economic development and innovation because of the ride-sharing debacle in Austin. In addition to the local loss of jobs and transportation options, as well as the safety concerns, there were tangible economic consequences for both the city and the state. As you can see from the sample of emails that was distributed, one company with over 1,200 employees removed Austin from their list of places that they were considering for relocation. Existing employers worried about the consequences to their employees and their businesses. Tourists planning a vacation to Austin chose not to come, and a large conference planned for the city was canceled. Further, prominent investors have publicly announced their decision to halt investment in emerging technologies due to the hostile local government. While some may argue that local control should prevail at all costs, local control is only valuable as a tool to protect individual liberty. In this case, local control of ride-sharing policies has not proven to serve this purpose. The state has a specific and vested interest in protecting our economy and our hard-earned reputation as a place that values the free market and a predictable regulatory environment. Given the inherent quality of transportation services, which requires the constant crossing of municipal lines, the state is the appropriate jurisdiction to provide this framework. As you know, Uber and Lyft left Austin last year after additional regulations were put in place that hindered their ability to provide ride-sharing services at scale. This was despite the fact that our police chief at the time warned the council that the city was safer with Uber and Lyft than without them. He stated before the vote, "I think the worst thing that could happen would be to lose 10,000 options for our citizens at 2 o'clock in the morning. We have people that are being victimized in the city because they don't have an opportunity to get into an Uber or a taxi quickly." Just this past weekend, as you might have seen, hundreds of visitors were furious as two of the more prominent ride-sharing companies that are existing in Austin right now crashed because of their inability to operate at scale, which is exactly what our police chief warned about. And the negative experiences of tourists and damaging media attention is continuing today, which is just a black eye for the state as a whole. Even on a regular weekend night, we continue to struggle with drunk driving, students being stranded downtown without a ride home, and an underground ride-sharing black market that has swelled. A Facebook group with over 40,000 members offers to connect people, anybody who wants a ride with anybody who's willing to give one, regardless of an affiliation with a ride-sharing platform or a background check required. I'm excited about the new companies in Austin, but I hope that enacting reasonable regulations will allow everybody to thrive.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Senator Schwartman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ellen, I'm sorry, sir. Yes, I appreciate your comments, and there is a black eye, unfortunately, not just on Austin, but the state of Texas because of these restrictive local ordinances. And you talked about the economic consequences for businesses and for the region, but there's also economic consequences for those that were trying to avail themselves of economic liberty and participate as a driver. My understanding is the day that Uber and Lyft decided, because of those onerous restrictions, to leave, that there were 5,000 individuals that got pink slips in my district, which includes part of Austin, but all of Williamson County.
Yes, I mean, the estimates that I have heard were above 10,000, so a lot of people lost their jobs overnight. Some of them chose to go to different municipalities that still allowed for those economic opportunities for them. But, I mean, it's a substantial job loss for the city.
And then, Mr. Chairman, I have another question, sir.
Yes, Senator Schwartman.
I'm sorry, from Matt, your name again?
Debbie Weir.
Ms. Weir. You said you had a son in San Marcos.
Yes.
Do you think the policies that have occurred here in Austin have put your son at increased risk? Does he come up here to Austin to avail himself of having a good time?
On my son's 21st birthday, I signed him up with an Uber and a Lyft account, and Uber still operates in San Marcos. But what I see is, and I've told him and his friends, if you take Uber to Austin, you can't get back, so they tend to go on the party buses. Now, he's over 22, he's not driving, but there are those that are under the age of 21 that are on the party buses going to 6th Street and And, it's a dangerous situation, I think, to encourage
When you miss
that.
a party bus and you want to drive up there and have fun,
And if you miss the bus at 2 a.m., then you don't have any transportation home.
yeah, and that's a problem with trying to get home from 6th Street to UT, for instance.
And, I'm sorry, if I may just say, too, our philosophy is to really educate people to plan ahead when they go out and they know they're going to be drinking alcohol. So taking a ride to and from and not waiting to get in the situation where they may not make the safe choice.
Mr. Chairman, one question for Chief Stone.
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you for your indulgence, sir. Chief, you were with DPS, and I'm sorry, you retired as
The Assistant Chief over our criminal law enforcement.
over criminal law enforcement, and you did a review of the safety and the
background
way
investigative
background
process.
checks regarding the safety that is inherent in an extensive, comprehensive federal background check.
That's correct.
And can you expound on that just a little bit about what it entails, what a background check actually entails, and how that is utilized?
It's really basically divided into two parts. First of all, you want positive identification on the person. And the Texas driver's license and the amount of money the state of Texas has spent on driver license validity has been paramount. And so you take that Texas driver's license that you know that you have a positive ID, and with technology today, and you're able to conduct a background investigation electronically without fingerprints that captures 99.9% of the investigative process. Are there going to be holes? Absolutely, we have to recognize that. But there's methods to recognize those holes and to capture that information.
Thank you, Chief. Mr. Chairman, my son is sitting directly behind that right there in the front row, and I certainly want to make sure that I have 3 sons, all in high school, that when they enter college years, that they have the ability to get home safely, and to have local ordinances that are so restrictive and onerous that push out companies that want to improve mobility and improve safety is just wrong, and we can't stand for it. Thank you, sir.
I appreciate it.
Mr. Chairman, may I respond?
Any other questions? Senator Campbell?
Just a point, I think it's, Ms. Troxclair, had talked about, giving us a black eye, not just Austin, but the state. But something I wouldn't have thought of was the groundswell of a black market, for which there's no checks and balances for any drivers. And so I think that's a very important point that Austin lost. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, members. Thank you, panel.
I think I can answer your question that you
so-
posed earlier if you want me to, about the traffic fatalities.
If you have the answer to that question.
At the time, the statistics that we were provided said that we had seen a 24% decrease in traffic-related fatalities since Uber and Lyft had been operating in the city. I believe that data has been revised because of because the police revised the data somehow, but now it's down in the teens. But either way, it's a significant decrease in traffic-related fatalities.
And Ms. Kitchen, be fair, in order for you to testify, let me ask you a question, since we can't just...
Okay, that's fine.
So did your chief of police make a recommendation regarding the regulations towards these TNCs?
We had recommendations from our police department and also from DPS.
And what were those regarding the additional regulations from your
They
chief
were
of
that
police?
fingerprinting is the most effective means to make sure that the person that you are checking is the person who they say they are.
What else did he recommend?
Well, let's see. The other thing
I've got the news article if you want me. I can get it.
Okay. I've got the testimony. I could read it to you, but that would take a while.
No, you can just tell me what he recommended regarding
basically-
additional regulations.
Basically, the point is on the fingerprinting.
No,
that-
that's not. All I need you to do is just kind of answer the question. So regarding additional regulations, your chief of police recommendation was?
It was centered on the fingerprinting, and also...
Ms. Kitchens, I want to be very polite and respectful, but I already know the answer to my question. I just need you to answer it based on what you know it to be and what I know it to be, and anybody that read the Austin Statesman knows it to be. Would you tell me what your chief of police recommended regarding additional regulations.
TNCs are important, and I think he recommended that the TNC service is important, that TNCs are useful in reducing DUIs, and we absolutely agree with that.
Thank you, Ms. Troxclair. I think he recommended that additional onerous, I think his words were onerous regulations would not be beneficial to the city, something to that effect. And I can get it, I've got it verbatim, but am I pretty close?
Yes, but you're missing...
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr.
All
Chairman.
right.
Senator Nichols.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.